You're listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast, a podcast for women navigating divorce who want more. More clarity, more money, more peace, more power. I'm Megan Norris, divorce expert, coach, and the friend who's going to tell you the truth. Not just about what's happening right now, but about what's possible for you next. This podcast is about making decisions you trust, building a life you actually want, and becoming the version of you that no one saw coming. Whether you're in it, ending it, or already out, you're in the right place. You're about to become the CEO of your life and create one so good it doesn't make sense. Let's get started. Oh, hi. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. How are we doing today? I just got off my weekly membership call and I was celebrating with one of the members about how quickly her life and divorce changed when she made some specific changes we talk about inside that program, and how instantaneous the shifts were in her reality when she shifted how she was showing up. And it's such a good reminder to me because I think it's easy to put distance between you making a change or making a certain decision and the getting of what you want. It's like, oh, it's going to take time for this to show up in my world. And it doesn't always take time. Sometimes it does, but not always. And the changes that the progress, the acceleration, the just joy that was showing up in her life overnight because she made some specific changes was just so fun to celebrate. So her divorce is moving faster. She's, people are coming out of the woodwork to help her. Her children are happier. And all she had to do was show up as her most authentic self and get some thought errors and obstacles out of the way. And then things are just so much easier and clicking and moving faster now. And it's amazing. It's way more fun for me to watch you all win than it is to win. I love to win. I mean, I love to get what I want. I love to co-create things. I love to, create results that are too good to be true. But it's really fun to watch you all do it. And I love the collective power that we have when we share them with each other. So if you're not a member, but you have taken something that I've taught or offered and used it to create an unbelievable, incredible result, or just a big win in your life, you are welcome to reach out to me anytime in a DM, in my email, however you want to do it. I want to know. I want to celebrate you. And I love sharing that with my audience because the more evidence we have that what most people would tell you is impossible or improbable is actually inevitable for you, the faster the change becomes collectively in terms of what divorce means in our society and in our culture. Okay, on that note, let's talk about getting it right. How to do it right. How to do divorce right. This is a big one for me personally, and probably for you too, because I made it in life. I got through school. I passed the bar exam. I became a mom. I got married. I dabbled in entrepreneurship. Did you all know that I was in network marketing for a while? I was in like 2012. I didn't know what network marketing was at the time. I just was having the most fun with this group of women, and they were like, want to do this thing? And I thought, yeah, I want to do this thing. And it was such a joy for me to do that for, I don't know, 4 years? No, less, like 3 years, 4 years. And I got a residual income from that for like 10 years. I think they paid out over $100,000 over the course of that 10 years. And I just had the most fun doing that. But even that journey, all of it, and at the start of my divorce, I made it through life believing that if you do it right as possible, you'll get what you want. And in divorce and afterwards, that becomes almost unbearable pressure. And it's exacerbated by all of the advice, not all of it, most of the divorce advice that you find in books and podcasts on social media that tells you how to do it. Most divorce advice and coaching is centered around the action. Here's how to do it right. And it's all well intended and useful. So I'm not saying it's not. However, my brain, probably your brain, or you wouldn't be listening to me, takes here's the suggestion for how you might make your life easier, and turns it into high stakes drama, like Shakespearean level drama. If you don't do it right, it's going to be the end of the world. And if you get it perfect, which is impossible, if you can be perfect, then you will be safe and your kids will be safe. And of course, you can't control everything, especially in a divorce. And so it becomes apparent very quickly that you can't be perfect and you can't do it right and you can't control everything. And so these action lists or these check mark lists or these suggestions for how to make your life easier actually become weapons, and they create a pressure cooker, and they're not helpful when they're being used in such a way. So let's use, for example, the divorce conversation. When you're having that conversation with or vice versa, maybe your ex has had the conversation with you, or maybe you're about to have the conversation. You can Google, please don't do this, but if you haven't already, don't do it, but you can Google how to have the conversation about divorce with your ex, and you're going to get checklists of the things you should have already done and prepared before you have the conversation. And you're going to get a list of things to say or not say during the conversation, and then probably some suggestions for things that you should do and not do directly after the conversation. And I want to liberate you from these external constructs that we find that you in particular don't need. You have a high EQ or you wouldn't be here, and you're very intelligent and you're intuitive and you are kind and you have integrity and a value system that you love, that you think is right and good for you. Okay. So you're already from the get-go incredibly trustworthy. You getting it right, you doing it perfectly is not actually the result you want to create. Nobody puts on their vision board, get it right. That's not on my vision board. I don't journal about how fun it will be to be perfect. Nobody does. Nobody has on their vision board, be perfect and get it right, and that'll be so fun. No, we put that pressure on ourselves because we think it will create a specific result for us. When really what it does is it compromises our self-trust and our connection with ourselves, because we are outsourcing the quote, how to do it right to something outside of us, and then putting pressure on ourselves to orchestrate this perfect moment so that we can feel safe and create some certainty around how to guarantee an outcome, which you can never do. So I don't care about you getting it right or being perfect. In fact, you can't. And this isn't news. This isn't news. All of us know, logically, nobody's perfect. It's like, oh, yeah, nobody's perfect, right? Your brain's too smart for that. It knows that it can't be perfect. So here's what it does instead. It says, okay, I know you don't have to be perfect, but you just need to be perfect enough. You just need to get it right enough. Okay, close enough will do the job. But the enough is just a goalpost that keeps moving and moving and moving and moving and moving. And it's like this insatiable need to get it just a little bit more right, which you can never do because that's just perfection disguised as a compromise. And how will you ever know if you get it right enough? I mean, you'll have to decide that, but we never decide that. We just think we're just always critical of how we did it. So we got to let that go. We got to let the construct of getting it right or doing it right or being perfect or go, because you're not gonna and you can't. And that's the point. Okay, that's the whole point of this. Because here's the thing. You are the most powerful person in your life and in your divorce. But you don't have the power to control everything. And you increase the odds that everything works out the way that you want faster by allowing yourself to show up as a messy human. Because you're very trustworthy, as I said in the beginning. You are always trying to show up leading with the values and the integrity and the information that you have. You're always already trying to do your best. So if we take the pressure off you and we just say, okay, I don't have to get this right and I don't have to get this perfect. I'm just going to do my best to follow my own guidance system and see what happens, trusting myself that I can handle it no matter what happens on the other side of it. And then I don't have to get it right. So back to the conversation about getting a divorce. If you're having this conversation and there's, you want it to be a certain time of day and you want to have done all of this stuff or not done all of this stuff, and it's important that you do this and it's important that you don't do this, and all of that white noise gets shut out and you just trust yourself to know and to handle it instead. How is so much simpler, so much easier. It's not orchestrating this big plan. You can prepare if you want, but you don't have to. This really activates some people. Some people do not like this. So let me just tell you, if this is just sounding like a hard no for you and you want to go Google, please go do that. I don't know everything. I'm just offering you a different perspective so that you have the agency and you can choose. I'm not saying that I have the right way. I don't. I'm just offering a different way to look at it because you're putting so much pressure on yourself to be perfect and get it right. And it's pretty miserable and it's causing unnecessary suffering for you. So instead of trying to get it right and do this perfect execution of this really intense, triggering, emotional conversation, what if you just allowed yourself to be messy and know the moment when it came? Because I don't know about you, but for me, getting like the courage to just even spit the words out, are you kidding me? There was no way I was gonna like be on a script or have like the time of day nailed down. I was like having an out of body experience. Just getting the words out had to be enough because I barely did. It was excruciating. It was maybe the hardest thing I've ever done. And it wasn't perfect. Whatever that even freaking means. I don't even know. There's no measure of that. Somebody tell me what the perfect, what does that even look like? But it felt messy. It probably was messy. My voice was shaking. It was intense and it was fine. We figured it out. We figured out whatever data you receive back after having the conversation or doing the thing. If this, you're using this for another area of your life, you can trust yourself to handle it and make the next necessary step. But you'll make it less miserable for you if you'll stop trying so hard to get it right ahead of time and then execute something with this pretend idea of perfection in mind. You're allowed to be a messy human in this, and you're incredibly trustworthy, so it's gonna be okay. Oh, I feel like there was one other thing I was gonna say with respect to that, but it slipped my mind and I didn't write it down. I don't have scripts for these. I just talk. If I script it, it gets weird. So we're just riffing on this right now. And I really just want you to know you do not need to get this right. Perfect. And it doesn't exist anyway. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's here. It's back. Okay. We're just talking about having the divorce conversation. But any difficult conversation, and you will have many. This is not the last one. It's probably not the first one in your life, but going forward, they're going to feel a little different because this is like probably one of the rawest conversations you've ever had, but it won't be the last uncomfortable conversation you're ever going to have. Guess what? After you say the thing, nothing is heard, nothing will be remembered. Likely. So if you think about it that way, like that pocket, that moment of time, the exactness of everything, the order of everything that's happening is not going to be most likely a solid memory anyway for anybody. So it's okay if it's feeling a little messy. You with me? We don't have to be perfect and we don't have to get it right. That is not the same thing as creating a result that we want and that we love. And now we have permission not to just to be messy, but to fail. After my divorce, I was working with a coach to help me because I wasn't making any money and I needed to make money. I had like 6 months before I was going to have to move in with my parents. So I better get to work. And it was right about the time I changed to divorce coaching and woke up one day and just started posting divorce content out of the blue. I think I had 500, 700 followers on Instagram. And I just started following my instinct and like posting whenever I felt inspired to post. I had a lot to say. I had a lot of emotional fuel because I had so much grief and I was in so much pain and there was still so much uncertainty. And I really learned how to channel all of that energy into my business and move it that way. That really worked for me. But in order to create the result that I created in the 9 months after that, which was over 6 figures of income and a full client roster and the most fun coaching women and connecting with other women in similar circumstances. In order to do that, I had to be willing to get messy and get it wrong. Same thing with my kids. I have to be willing to give myself permission to mess up. What was I? Oh, I had to call the vice principal of the high school a couple weeks ago. I had to call him back. We were having a conversation about something that happened with one of my kids and he wasn't in trouble, but we needed to address it. And he had asked me to call him back after I spoke with my child. And so I called him back, but he didn't answer. And I left a voicemail for him and explaining what I had learned from the conversation. And my voice was shaking, almost like I was in this like defensive energy of my child, even though that wasn't necessary. It just kind of came out that way. I was nervous. And I started beating myself up about that. And like, I felt a lot of shame. Like, what is your deal? Like, get over it. You are 45 years old. The Bryce principal's probably in his like early 30s. I don't know, but like I'm probably older than him. Like, so weird. What is happening? And I started kind of to spiral out in this shame cycle. And I caught myself and I was like, whoa, stop. Like, who cares? You're allowed to be a little nervous talking to the vice principal. Like, get over it. It's fine. Be messy. You needed to take care of it and you took care of it, and he doesn't care and he's not going to remember it anyway. Being willing to be messy and fail and get it wrong is how you're going to accelerate the results in every area of your life, including in your divorce. And when you're willing to feel the emotions that you'll have to feel when you fail and you're messy, whether it's shame or failure or fear or disappointment, you change your divorce in life. Because all of a sudden, perfection doesn't have the same vice grip on you. You're not making decisions based on how to best look like you're getting it right and being perfect, which isn't the point anyway. Nobody wants that. We only want it because we think it's going to save us from feeling the disappointment or the failure if we mess up, or the shame. But you don't need to protect yourself from emotions. They are here to serve you. They are all sacred, all of them. And you don't need to work so hard to avoid them. If the worst thing that can happen to you is a feeling, aren't you willing to go for it? Aren't you willing to make your life look the way you want it to look? To risk feeling an emotion for the potential payoff of getting what you want or better? The answer is always yes for me. Always yes. I'm always a yes. I'm all in on that. I lived the first 40 years of my life thinking that if I just avoided feeling awful, that I would have the life that I wanted. And so I worked really hard to avoid all the emotions and to control everything outside of me in order to help me do that. And I will not tolerate myself doing that anymore. Not anymore. I want to feel all of it. I feel alive. And even though it's not always pleasant, it's always serving me. It's always helping me in some way. And you're going to find the same thing when you start to get to know yourself better and you trust yourself to feel all the feelings that you've been avoiding by trying to be perfect and get it right all these years. That's the beautiful thing about divorce, is that all those feelings you've been working so hard to feel, you just can't escape them anymore. And it turns out that's a good thing, because when you don't have to work so hard because you're afraid of how you're going to feel, you're willing to show up more powerfully, and take strategic risks and live bolder and more aligned with what it is you really want, which may not listen, I hibernated for 3 years, but I just want everyone to leave me alone. That's what I want. And this is beautiful. And this is exactly what I want. It's not always big, glamorous, flashy, vision board things that really light our soul on fire and are like a full body yes. Sometimes it's just like new bedding and like a walk with your dog. Sadie's right here, by the way. She's taking a nap. My golden doodle, if you don't know. She is my soulmate. We're in a relationship. It's pretty cute. Okay, so stop trying to get it right and just be you, and be willing to be messy and to get it wrong and take the pressure off of yourself. And if you're going to look for support to inform what you do, take it all with a grain of salt. It is meant to inform it, not to restrict and imprison you. You just never know how things are going to work out or how they're going to go. So you can have like a guidepost, you can have guideposts and guidelines, but chances are it's not going to go according to plan, and that's okay. I will see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the So Good It Doesn't Make Sense podcast. If today's episode resonated, please take a minute and leave a review. It helps women find this work and change their lives and divorces too. For more support, be sure you follow me on Instagram at Megan Norris Coaching. That's where I share real-time strategy, perspective, and what it actually looks like day to day. And when you're ready to go deeper, join the Divorce Academy, my monthly membership for women navigating divorce with clarity, power, and community. I'll see you next week. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for legal, financial, or mental health advice. Please consult with licensed professionals as needed.